The massive alien ship appeared over New York on a quiet Tuesday morning. Unlike the chaos depicted in countless movies, the world watched with surprising calm as the vessel hovered silently above the city. Its smooth pearl-white surface reflected the sunlight like polished marble, creating a spectacular display that drew millions of eyes skyward. Tom Reed stood in the crowd outside the United Nations building, his heart racing with excitement rather than fear. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, he had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. At 35, with 10 years of research into theoretical alien biology, he was about to see if any of his theories held water. The alien delegation emerged from their ship in a beam of soft blue light. 3 tall, slender beings glided down to Earth with an elegance that made them appear almost weightless. Their silvery robes shimmered in the morning sun, and their 4-fingered hands remained clasped in what seemed to be a gesture of peace. "We come representing the Galactic Council," the tallest one announced in perfect English, their voice resonating through hidden speakers. "We bring both greetings and a warning to Earth." The world leaders gathered in the UN Assembly Hall received the news with remarkable composure. Tom, invited as a scientific advisor, watched from his seat as the aliens, who called themselves the advisors, explained the situation. "Your species has reached a crucial development stage," the lead advisor stated, gesturing with graceful movements. "We typically welcome new civilizations to the galactic community at this point. However, we must first warn you of a grave threat in your sector of space." The chamber's massive screen lit up with images that made several diplomats gasp. A creature appeared, massive, dark, and terrifying. Its body seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it difficult to determine its true shape. Multiple limbs ended in what appeared to be natural weapons, and its eyes glowed with an unsettling intelligence. "The nightshade," the advisor explained, "is the most lethal predator species we have encountered in our 1,000 years of space exploration. They have destroyed 17 civilizations to date. Their hunting grounds lie dangerously close to your solar system." Tom studied the images with growing fascination. Something about the creature's structure didn't align with his understanding of predator evolution. Its defensive adaptations appeared more numerous than its offensive capabilities, an unusual trait for an apex predator. "We offer Earth protection," the advisor continued. "Join the Council, accept our guidance, and we will ensure your safety." The chamber erupted in discussions. World leaders debated, argued, and questioned. But Tom kept his eyes fixed on the screen, watching the way the creature moved in the brief video clips. Its movements seemed hesitant, reactive rather than aggressive. To everyone's surprise, Earth's response was not immediate acceptance of protection. Instead, humanity's representatives asked for time to study the situation and review the evidence. The advisors exchanged looks that might have been confusion. "You show remarkable composure," the lead advisor noted. "Most species react with immediate panic when learning of the nightshade threat. Humans have a long history of adapting to predators," the UN Secretary General replied diplomatically. "We've learned that understanding often proves more valuable than fear." That evening, as Tom prepared to leave the UN building, he received an unexpected message. The Council requested his presence on their research team, citing his unique perspective on xenobiology. They wanted him to study the nightshade threat and help develop better defenses. Tom accepted without hesitation. As he packed his office later that night, he kept glancing at the nightshade images on his tablet. Something about this situation didn't add up, and he was determined to find out what. If humanity had learned anything from its own history, it was that things labeled as monsters often turned out to be something else entirely. The truth, he suspected, would be far more interesting than anyone expected. 2 weeks into his stay on the Council's research station, Tom Reed found himself staring at countless reports of nightshade attacks. The massive space station orbited a distant star, its curved windows offering views of unfamiliar constellations. But Tom barely noticed the spectacular sight anymore, too absorbed in his work. "Another settlement destroyed," announced head researcher Miller, dropping a data tablet on Tom's desk. "Third one this month. The beasts are getting bolder." Tom picked up the tablet, studying the destruction footage. The Nightshade had struck a small mining colony on the edge of Council space, but something caught his eye. The attack pattern seemed strange. The creature had damaged the colony's defensive systems first, then its communications array, and finally its weapons. "That's oddly specific targeting for a mindless predator," Tom muttered, replaying the footage. Miller shook his head. "They're smarter than most predators. That's what makes them so dangerous. 17 civilizations, completely wiped out. We can't let Earth become number 18. But Tom wasn't convinced. He'd spent years studying Earth's predators, from great white sharks to tigers. True predators didn't destroy infrastructure. They hunted for food. This felt more like a military strike. Late that night, while most of the station slept, Tom accessed the restricted archives. He'd noticed that despite all the talk about 17 destroyed civilizations, the Council only had detailed records of 12. The other 5 were marked as classified. His security clearance, granted by the Council themselves, got him into most files. But when he tried to access information about the first documented Nightshade encounter, red warning messages flashed across his screen. "Access denied," the computer announced. "Clearance level insufficient." Tom leaned back in his chair, thinking, why would the first contact record need higher security than current attack data? He started cross-referencing dates, locations, and events, building a timeline on his private tablet. A pattern emerged. The Nightshade attacks had begun exactly 1 year after the Council's first expansion into that sector of space. Before that, there was no record of the species at all. It was as if they had appeared out of nowhere. "Computer," Tom said quietly, "show me mineral survey reports from the destroyed civilizations." The data that scrolled across his screen made his eyes widen. Every single attacked world had been rich in rare elements, the kind needed for advanced space travel. And in each case, after the civilization was destroyed, the Council had claimed the worlds for protective quarantine. The next morning, Tom did something that surprised his colleagues. He requested permission to join a Nightshade hunting mission. "Are you insane?" Miller asked during the briefing. "These aren't some Earth animals you can study up close. They're killing machines." "We need better field data," Tom argued. "All our footage is from security cameras or drones. No one has ever tried to actually study them properly." The Council representatives exchanged those odd looks again, the same ones they'd shown when Earth hadn't panicked at their warning. Finally, they approved his request, but with conditions. "You will remain on the hunting vessel," they instructed. "No direct contact. No independent research. You observe our standard procedures only." Tom agreed, but he had no intention of following those rules. In his quarters, he packed his own modified scanning equipment, including some experimental communication devices he'd been working on. If his suspicions were right, there was more to the Nightshade than anyone knew. The hunting ship departed 3 days later. It was smaller than the Council's diplomatic vessels, built for speed and stealth. As they traveled deeper into the sector where Nightshade sightings were common, Tom noticed something else strange. The Council's hunting equipment looked an awful lot like capture gear. "We're approaching the target area," the ship's captain announced. "Recent attacks suggest a Nightshade den nearby. Remember, at the first sign of the creature, we follow standard elimination protocols." Tom nodded along with the others, but his mind was racing. He'd seen enough. The missing records, the convenient pattern of attacks, the suspicious equipment, none of it added up to a simple case of deadly predator species. He was now certain of one thing. The Council was lying. The real question was why. The hunting ship's alerts blared in the middle of the night cycle. Tom Reed rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. Red warning lights pulsed along the corridors as crew members scrambled to their stations. "Nightshade signature detected," announced the ship's captain. 3,000 meters ahead, moving away from us at high speed." Tom studied the sensor readings on his personal device. The energy pattern was different from what he'd seen in the reports. Instead of the aggressive surge typical of a hunting predator, this signature showed signs of depleted energy, like something running on backup power. Hunting pattern, Alpha engaged. The captain ordered. All weapons charged. Prepare for. Wait, Tom interrupted, breaking protocol. Look at these readings. The creature's injured. The captain glared at him. That's exactly when they're most dangerous. This is not a research mission, Mr. Reed. We follow standard elimination procedures. But Tom had already noticed something else. The nightshade wasn't running randomly. It was following a specific course, avoiding populated areas. A mindless killer wouldn't show such careful route planning. While the crew focused on their pursuit, Tom slipped away to the ship's auxiliary control room. He'd spent the past few days studying the ship's systems, and now he did something that would probably get him arrested. He activated his own modified scanning program. His screen lit up with new data. The Nightshade's body temperature was far below normal levels. Its movement patterns showed signs of exhaustion, and most importantly, it was carrying something that gave off faint energy readings similar to a distress beacon. The creature wasn't hunting. It was protecting something. Tom made a decision that would change everything. He locked the auxiliary control room door and used his override codes to disable the ship's weapons. Then he activated the ship's external lights, not in the harsh red pursuit mode, but in a soft, steady pattern. "What are you doing?" The captain's voice roared over the intercom. "Restore weapons control immediately." "Look at the sensor data," Tom replied calmly. "Really look at it. This isn't an attack run. The Nightshade is trying to protect itself, and something else." The next few minutes were chaos. The captain threatened arrest, the crew tried to break into the auxiliary control room, and the council representatives on board demanded he stand down. But Tom kept the weapons offline and maintained his steady light pattern. Then something extraordinary happened. The Nightshade stopped running. On the main view screen, they all watched as the creature turned to face their ship. In the soft lighting, its form became clear for the first time. The supposedly terrifying monster was beautiful in a strange way. Its dark surface wasn't just black. It rippled with colors like oil on water. The multiple limbs they'd seen in attack footage were actually part of a complex exoskeleton that seemed designed to absorb energy. And cradled in that exoskeleton was a smaller form, a juvenile of its species, its a parent protecting its child. Tom breathed, understanding flooding through him. All this time, we've been chasing a species that's just trying to protect its young. The creature hung in space before their ship, its posture no longer aggressive but wary. When no attack came, it shifted slightly, revealing more of the younger one it carried. The junior Nightshade was clearly weak, its energy patterns unstable. Tom activated the ship's external speakers. He prepared for this moment, programming a series of low-frequency pulses that mimicked the Nightshade's own energy signature, but in a pattern that he hoped would communicate peace. The adult Nightshade's response was immediate. It released a similar pattern of pulses, but with a distinctly different rhythm. Tom's translation program began analyzing the sequence. "They're not predators at all," Tom announced to the stunned crew. "They're refugees, and I think they've been trying to tell us that all along." Before anyone could respond, the young Nightshade's energy signature began to fade dangerously. The adult's distress was clear in its frantic movements. "Their child is dying," Tom said, already heading for the door. "And we're going to help them save it." He knew he was about to break every council protocol in existence. He also knew he was right. As he pressed the override to unlock the auxiliary control room, Tom smiled slightly. Sometimes, he thought, the most human thing you can do is ignore the rules and help someone in need, even if that someone is supposed to be the galaxy's most dangerous predator. "Step away from the airlock, Mr. Reed," the captain ordered, pointing a stun weapon at Tom's back. "This is your final warning." Tom continued preparing his environmental suit, his movements calm and deliberate. "Captain, that child out there is dying. I study the readings. They're suffering from some kind of energy depletion. We can help." The bridge crew watched in tense silence as Tom faced the captain. Through the viewing window, the adult nightshade remained motionless, still cradling its weakening child. "They've destroyed entire worlds," the captain argued, but Tom noticed uncertainty in his voice. "Have they?" Tom challenged. "Or is that what the council wants us to believe? Look at them, Captain. Really look. Does that look like a mindless killer to you?" The captain glanced at the window. The adult nightshade was now producing a soft, pulsing glow that matched the rhythm of Tom's earlier peace signal. Its protective posture around the child was unmistakably parental. "If I'm wrong," Tom said quietly, "you can arrest me. But if I'm right, and we do nothing, we're letting a child die because of our fear." After what felt like forever, the captain lowered his weapon. "You have 15 minutes. After that, I'm following council protocols." Tom quickly finished suiting up. He had modified the suit's energy shielding to emit the same peaceful pulses he'd used earlier. It was a risky move. No human had ever gotten this close to a nightshade and lived to tell about it. At least, that's what the council claimed. As the airlock cycle completed, Tom floated out into space. The adult nightshade watched his approach, its surface rippling with waves of color. Up close, Tom could see that what they'd thought were weapons were actually sophisticated energy-collecting appendages. "I want to help," Tom said, even though he knew they couldn't hear his voice. He kept his movements slow and deliberate, his suit pulsing with the peaceful signal. The adult nightshade moved slightly, giving Tom a better view of the child. The young one's energy pattern was dangerously weak, its surface barely showing any color at all. Tom consulted his handheld scanner and confirmed his suspicion. They needed concentrated energy, and fast. Making a decision, Tom reached for his suit controls. He had modified the power distribution system for exactly this situation. With a few quick adjustments, he diverted power from his suit's non-essential systems directly into its external energy emission grid. The adult nightshade watched intently as Tom's suit began radiating energy in a controlled stream. After a moment's hesitation, it guided its child closer to Tom. The young one's energy-collecting appendages weakly extended toward the energy stream. Inside his suit, warning lights began flashing. He was giving away too much power, but he could see it was working. The young nightshade's surface began to show more color, its energy pattern strengthening. "Tom," the captain's voice crackled through his comm. "Council ships are approaching. They're demanding we hand over the creatures immediately." Tom watched as the young nightshade continued to recover. Its movements were becoming stronger, more coordinated. The adult's colors shifted in what seemed like a pattern of relief. "Tell them to wait," Tom replied, though he knew it was useless. The council wouldn't wait. They wouldn't want anyone to see this, to see that everything they'd said about the nightshades was wrong. The adult nightshade suddenly moved, positioning itself between Tom and the approaching council ships. But instead of attacking, it extended one of its appendages toward Tom's suit, touching it gently. A complex series of energy pulses flowed through the contact. Tom's translator program went crazy trying to decode the pattern. When it finally did, his eyes widened behind his helmet. It wasn't just random energy, it was language. Complex, beautiful, and completely unlike anything the council had shown them. "Captain," Tom said urgently, "we need to protect them. The council, they've been lying all along. The nightshades aren't destroyers. They're a peaceful species that evolved to communicate through energy patterns. And they're trying to tell us something important." The adult nightshade's colors pulsed in confirmation, its message becoming clearer as Tom's translator adapted. "Help us. They hunt our children. They fear what we know." Tom looked at the approaching council ships, then back at the nightshade family. It was time to choose sides. And for him, protecting a family, any family, from harm wasn't really a choice at all. "Don't worry," he told them, already planning their escape. Humans are pretty good at defying expectations. Tom's suit power dropped to dangerous levels as the Council ships surrounded them. The adult Nightshade, which Tom had started calling Shadow, maintained its protective position. The young one, now stronger, stayed close to its parent. "They're charging weapons," the captain reported through Tom's comm. "Council's ordering us to stand down and hand over the creatures." But something unexpected happened. Shadow extended its energy-collecting appendages, creating a shield that encompassed not just its child, but Tom as well. The shield sparkled with shifting colors, more beautiful than any aurora Tom had ever seen. Then Shadow did something extraordinary. It shared its memories. Through the energy connection, Tom's mind filled with images and emotions. He saw the Nightshade's homeworld, a gas giant's moon where crystalline structures floated in the atmosphere. Their civilization hadn't been built with metal and concrete, but with pure energy and light. "Amazing," Tom whispered as more memories flowed. "They're not predators. They're artists, scientists. Their whole civilization is based on energy manipulation." The memories turned darker. Tom saw Council ships arriving at their world, demanding access to their energy manipulation technology. When the Nightshades refused to share their knowledge, fearing it would be weaponized, the Council attacked. "They scattered us," Shadow communicated through energy pulses, "hunted our young, called us predators to justify their actions. The worlds they claim we destroyed. They did that themselves, blaming us to hide their crimes." The truth hit Tom like a physical blow. The Council hadn't been protecting the galaxy from monsters. They had been systematically destroying an advanced civilization that refused to give them military technology. On his suit's display, Tom watched the Council ships move closer. Their weapons were fully charged now. His own ship's captain spoke again, this time with determination in his voice. "I've seen enough," the captain said. "Mr. Reed, get back to the ship. We're going to help them escape." Tom felt a surge of pride in humanity's capacity for understanding. Even faced with supposed monsters, they could see the truth when it was shown to them. But before they could move, more memories came from Shadow. The young one joined in, sharing its own recent experiences. Tom saw hidden colonies of Nightshades, surviving in gas giants and nebulae across the galaxy. They weren't just running. They were protecting something vitally important. "The Council doesn't know," Shadow communicated. "Our greatest discovery. We found a way to create sustainable energy from nothing. Clean power, endless, free. It would change everything. And they'd rather destroy you than let that knowledge spread," Tom realized. Because free energy would end their control over other species. The Council ships fired their first warning shot. The energy beam dissipated harmlessly against Shadow's shield, but the message was clear. They were done waiting. Then Tom had an idea. His suit was nearly drained, but Shadow's shield was incredibly efficient. If the Nightshades could share memories through energy, maybe they could share other things too. "Shadow," he said, activating his suit's remaining systems, "can you share knowledge both ways? Can you teach me how your shield works?" The adult Nightshade's colors shifted in what Tom now recognized as agreement. More energy pulses flowed, but this time they carried information. Complex patterns of energy manipulation that Tom's scientific mind began to understand. The Council ships fired again, more aggressively. But Tom was ready. Using his suit's last power reserves, he replicated the energy pattern Shadow had taught him. A small shield, similar to the Nightshade's but distinctly human in its construction, flickered to life around him. "Impossible," came the Council's transmission. "Humans can't manipulate energy fields." But they could. Shadow had just proved that anyone could learn, if taught properly. The Nightshades hadn't been hoarding their knowledge. They'd been waiting for someone trustworthy to share it with. "Captain," Tom called to his ship, "send this data to Earth. The whole story. The Council's lies, the Nightshade's truth, and especially their energy technology. Humanity should know what we're really fighting for." As the captain acknowledged, Tom turned to Shadow and its child. The young one's colors were bright now, healthy and strong. Together, they faced the council ships, a human and two nightshades, united in their stand for truth. The real battle was about to begin. But for the first time, the nightshades weren't fighting alone. The data transmission to Earth took exactly 37 seconds to reach its destination. In those seconds, the council ships had moved into attack formation, their weapons charged to maximum power. Last warning, the council commander's voice boomed across all channels. Hand over the creatures and surrender the human for trial. Tom exchanged glances with Shadow through his helmet. The nightshade's surface rippled with determination, its child now safely tucked into one of its energy-collecting chambers. What the council saw as weapons were actually sophisticated protective pouches, perfect for keeping their young safe. Transmission received and verified. Tom's captain announced suddenly, "Earth is responding." The response came as a surprise to everyone. Multiple jump points opened around them. Earth's entire space fleet had been waiting nearby, monitoring the situation. Dozens of human ships emerged, taking positions around Tom's vessel and the Nightshades. "This is Fleet Admiral Jones of Earth Defense Force," a new voice declared. "We have received and reviewed the evidence. The Council's actions constitute genocide against a peaceful species. Stand down immediately." Tom felt a surge of pride. Humanity had done what it did best, looked at the evidence and chosen to stand up for what was right, regardless of the consequences. The Council ships hesitated. They outgunned the human fleet in terms of technology, but Earth's ships had taken perfect tactical positions. More importantly, Earth now had proof of the Council's crimes. Shadow moved closer to Tom, sharing more energy pulses. Through their connection, Tom saw other nightshades emerging from hiding. They had been watching, waiting to see if any species would finally stand with them. In gas giants, nebulae, and asteroid fields across the sector, nightshade communities prepared to reveal themselves. "Look," Tom broadcast to all ships. "Really look at what you're fighting." He activated his suit's external cameras, broadcasting clear images of Shadow and its child. The young one was now producing beautiful patterns of light, creating what Tom recognized as art, telling their story through energy and color. "These are the monsters you've been hunting," Tom continued. "A species that creates art from energy, that developed clean, free power, that risks everything to protect their children. How many of your own people could have benefited from their knowledge if you hadn't chosen fear over understanding?" The Council ship's weapons remained charged, but Tom could sense their crew's uncertainty. The Nightshades had never fought back, never destroyed civilian targets. All the evidence of their supposed attacks was Council propaganda. Then something remarkable happened. Other alien ships began appearing, representatives from worlds that had questioned the Council's stories. They had been monitoring too, waiting to see the truth. "Earth speaks truth," came a transmission from one alien ship. "We have analyzed their evidence. The Council has committed crimes against all our peoples by denying us contact with the Nightshades." Shadow's child floated forward, creating a complex energy pattern in space. Tom's translator worked quickly, converting the pattern to words all could understand. "We offer peace. We offer knowledge. We offer hope." The Council commander's response was immediate and desperate. "Fire. Destroy them all before." But it was too late. The Council's deception was exposed. Their own ships began powering down weapons as crew members refused orders. The truth was too powerful to ignore. Admiral Jones spoke again. "To all Council ships, power down and prepare for boarding. To our Nightshade friends, Earth offers you sanctuary. We would be honored to learn from you, and to help protect your people while you rebuild." Shadow's colors shifted in a pattern Tom now recognized as joy. The adult Nightshade extended its energy field, connecting with its child and Tom, sharing feelings of gratitude and hope. More Nightshades emerged from hiding, their bodies creating spectacular light shows against the backdrop of space. It wasn't just a celebration. They were teaching, showing everyone their true nature through art and energy. "This is what first contact should be," Tom said softly. "Not fear, not control, but understanding and cooperation." Earth ships moved to secure the Council vessels, while other alien ships approached the Nightshades, eager to learn and make amends. The young Nightshade created a beautiful pattern of interlocking energy fields, linking everyone together in a display of unity. A new chapter in galactic history had begun, and it started because one human chose to look past fear and see the truth that sometimes the most dangerous-looking creatures could turn out to be the greatest teachers. 1 year after the standoff in space, Tom Reed stood in the New Earth Nightshade Joint Research Center, watching Shadow's child, now named Star, create intricate energy patterns in the teaching chamber. The facility, built in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter, combined human engineering with Nightshade energy technology. "Still amazing, isn't it?" Tom's captain, now Ambassador Miller, said as he entered the chamber. "Hard to believe we once thought they were monsters." The chamber filled with swirling colors as Star demonstrated energy manipulation techniques to a mixed group of human and alien students. Shadow floated nearby, its surface glowing with parental pride. "The latest report just came in," Miller continued. 300 more worlds have broken away from the Council. They're requesting Nightshade teachers and energy technology." Tom nodded, remembering how quickly things had changed. After the Council's deception was exposed, their power had crumbled. The Evidence Earth broadcast had sparked a peaceful revolution across the galaxy. Through the chamber's window, Tom could see Earth's massive atmospheric processors in Jupiter's clouds, now powered by Nightshade energy technology. They had eliminated pollution on Earth within months. Free, clean energy had transformed human society faster than anyone expected. "The Council leaders' trial starts next week," Miller added. "Most of them have already confessed. They really thought they could keep the truth hidden forever." Star floated over to them, its energy field creating patterns that Tom's translator now easily understood. "Today's lesson is about healing. Would you like to join, Tom?" The invitation made Tom smile. The Nightshades had shared more than just energy technology. Their ability to manipulate energy fields had revolutionary applications in medicine, communication, and environmental restoration. "The real irony," Tom said as they moved to join the class, "is that the Council was right about one thing. The Nightshades did change everything, just not in the way they feared." Shadow joined them, creating a teaching pattern that showed the history of their peoples. Images formed in energy, the Council's attack on their homeworld, their years in hiding, the moment Tom chose to help them, and finally, the new alliance that changed the galaxy. "Previous Council territory reports are fascinating," Miller noted. "Poverty rates dropping to zero, pollution eliminated, wars ending as resource scarcity disappears. Turns out free energy really does change everything." The teaching chamber filled with more students as word spread about Shadow's history lesson. Representatives from dozens of species watched in awe as the Nightshades demonstrated how they had survived, hidden in gas giants and nebulae, protecting their knowledge until they found someone worthy to share it with. "We chose well," Shadow communicated, its colors shifting warmly. "Humans understand balance. You have darkness and light, yet choose to learn from both. You feared us, but chose to help anyway. That is wisdom." Tom watched as Star created an energy pattern showing the location of their original homeworld. Plans were already underway to help the Nightshades reclaim and rebuild it, with Earth leading the rehabilitation effort. "Next month's conference will be interesting," Miller said. "First time all known species will meet as equals, without Council control." The Nightshade's energy tech eliminated most reasons for conflict. A small alarm chimed, more ships arriving at the station. These were refugees from former Council worlds, coming to learn from the Nightshades. Every day, more people arrived, eager to learn and help build a better galaxy. "You know what the best part is," Tom said, watching Star teach a young human girl how to create a simple energy field. "We didn't just save them. they saved us too. Imagine where we'd be if we listened to fear instead of curiosity. Shadow's colors rippled in agreement. The adult nightshade created one final pattern, a vision of the future. Countless worlds linked by clean energy and shared knowledge, different species working together, learning from each other's strengths. That's the real lesson here, Tom concluded. The most dangerous thing in the universe isn't some alien predator. It's fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what's different. But if you can move past that fear, he didn't need to finish. Around them, humans and aliens learned together, while nightshade energy technology powered a new age of exploration and discovery. The galaxy had changed forever, all because one human chose to see past appearances and reach out in friendship. The monsters weren't monsters at all. They were teachers, friends, proof that the universe's greatest gifts often come in the most unexpected packages. And that was a lesson worth sharing with every new species they would meet among the stars.